Hi, this is Nightly Haven. I'm your host, Nikki. And if you like the mysterious, the unexplained, the strange things happening in our world, you're definitely in the right place. Tonight, we're talking about something that feels almost biblical in scale: volcanoes erupting, ash clouds rising miles into the sky, entire mountains waking up after years of silence. But what caught scientists' attention wasn't just the eruption itself, it was the timing, because just before these volcanoes erupted, Earth had been struck by a geomagnetic storm from the sun. Now, that raises a fascinating question. Could solar storms, events happening 93 million miles away, actually influence volcanic eruptions here on Earth, or is it just a coincidence? Tonight, we're diving into the volcanic activity shaking Southeast Asia, the science behind the geomagnetic storm, and the controversial theory that space weather might influence the fire beneath our feet. If you look at a map of the world's most dangerous volcanoes, one region stands out immediately: Southeast Asia. Countries like the Philippines and Indonesia sit directly on top of the most volatile geological regions on Earth, the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is massive, horseshoe-shaped zone stretching roughly 25,000 miles around the Pacific Ocean. It contains 75% of the world's active volcanoes, and earthquakes, nearly 90% of them happen here. That means millions of people are living right next to some of the most powerful forces on the planet. One of those forces is a volcano known as Kanlaon. Mount Kanlaon towers over Negros Island in the Philippines, standing more than 8,000 feet tall. At first glance, it's beautiful. Lush forests, mist rolling across the slopes, a place that almost looks peaceful. But Mount Kanlaon isn't far from quiet. It is actually one of the most active volcanoes in the Philippines, and recently it erupted again. On March 15, 2026, Mount Kanlaon suddenly produced an explosive eruption. A massive column of ash shot thousands of feet into the sky. Residents nearby reported the smell of sulfur filling the air. Ash drifted across nearby towns. Authorities quickly enforced a danger zone around the summit, warning people to stay away from the volcano. This eruption wasn't completely unexpected. The volcano had been showing signs of unrest for years, but something interesting happened around the same time. Across the region, another volcano also began erupting, this time in Indonesia, the volcano known as Mount Marapi. Mount Marapi sits in western Sumatra and is one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes. Locals even call it the Mountain of Fire, and it has a long history of sudden eruptions. But the timing of these eruptions caught the attention of some researchers because just before they happened, Earth had experienced something coming from space. Days before the eruption, Earth was hit by a G2 geomagnetic storm. Now, that might sound like science fiction, but it is very real. Geomagnetic storms happen when the sun releases massive bursts of energy called coronal mass ejections. These blasts send billions of tons of charged particles racing through space. If those particles hit Earth, they can disturb our planet's magnetic field. Sometimes they create beautiful auroras, the northern lights, but stronger storms can also affect satellites, radio signals, GPS systems, and power grids. The storm that occurred before these eruptions was classified as a G2 storm, moderate, not extreme, but powerful enough to disturb Earth's magnetic field. And that's where things get interesting because some researchers believe geomagnetic storms might influence geological activity. A geophysicist named Stephen Burns recently discussed something fascinating. He pointed out that several volcanic eruptions seem to occur shortly after the geomagnetic storm. That raises a question scientists have debated for decades. Could solar activity somehow affect the Earth's crust? Here's the theory. Geomagnetic storms temporarily change Earth's magnetic field. Those changes may slightly alter electrical currents inside the planet. And because the Earth's crust is already under enormous pressure, even small shifts could theoretically trigger earthquakes or volcanic eruptions that were already close to happening. Think of it like this. A volcano might already be shaken soda bottle ready to explode. The geomagnetic storm could simply be the tiny tap that makes it erupt. But here's the important part. Most scientists say the evidence for this connection is not proven. Many believe the timing is simply coincidences. I don't believe in coincidence. Because the Ring of Fire erupts constantly. Still, the pattern is interesting enough that some researchers continue to study it. One thing we do know for certain, our planet is constantly shifting beneath our feet. The Philippines alone has over 20 active volcanoes. Indonesia has more active volcanoes than any country on Earth. And both countries sit directly on tectonic plate boundaries where massive slabs of Earth's crust grind against each other. When pressure builds underground, magma pushes upward, gas expands, and eventually the volcano releases that pressure through eruption. Sometimes it's a small ash cloud, other times it can be catastrophic. But even moderate eruptions remind us of something powerful. We are living on a very active planet. Despite the danger, people continue living near volcanoes, and the reason is surprisingly simple. Volcanic soil is incredibly fertile. After eruptions, the ashes enrich the land with minerals. That makes the soil perfect for farming. So, for thousands of years, humans have lived in the shadow of volcanoes, knowing the risks, but also relying on the land they create. It is a strange balance between danger and survival. So, where does that leave the solar storm theory? Right now, it's still being studied. Some scientists think geomagnetic activity might influence earthquakes, volcanic pressure, or tectonic stress. Others say the data simply isn't strong enough. But what's fascinating is that our planet is part of a much larger system. Earth isn't isolated, it's constantly interacting with the sun, cosmic radiation, magnetic forces, and gravitational influences from other celestial bodies, which means the idea that space weather could affect Earth's geology isn't completely impossible. We just don't fully understand it yet. What happened in Southeast Asia may simply be another reminder of how powerful nature is. Volcanoes erupt, plates shift, mountains breathe fire, and sometimes the timing of those events raise questions we're still trying to answer. Was it coincidence? Or could the sun, the star that gives us life, also play a role in the forces beneath our planet's surface? For now, the mystery remains, but one thing is certain: the Earth is always moving, and sometimes it reminds us. This has been Nightly Haven. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day, guys. Bye.